right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Two Dudes with Attitudes Wrestling Podcast. I am Jason,
I'm John.
and we are back again for episode two. How you feel about it, John? I mean, how'd you think the first one went?
I think the first one was it went pretty good. I mean, we a little shaky to start with, but we
Yeah,
we kind of
yeah,
we talked about it after the fact and got our thoughts together, and hopefully this time around we're going to come back in a little more stronger, a little more together. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or like I said, we're gonna learn as we go. There's gonna be things that will change, and we'll get better at. It's just the whole process, process of elimination and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Um, but yeah, where we left off last time, a lot's happened. A lot has happened.
Yes,
Um,
it has, man.
I guess the first really big story that we need to talk about is the release of Bray Wyatt. I think we're still in the middle of processing it. I'm curious that there's probably going to be more coming out on this as the time goes on. There's been a lot of speculation online that maybe there were some differences with creative and him, and him having ideas that they didn't want to work with, and the ideas that they had, he didn't want to do. But yeah, like I said, I think that's the biggest shock since Strowman and Aleister Black being released, about a month and a half ago. So
Oh, definitely. I mean, think about it. I mean, yeah, we lost Braun Strowman, we lost Aleister Black, but the thing about it is you know, those were budget cuts as well with other
yeah,
superstars. I mean, I hate to see anybody lose their job
correct,
because that's what it means. They get released, they're losing their job.
right,
But with the Fiend though, Bray Wyatt, he went quiet after WrestleMania, anyways. Like he came on Raw and did that little skit on the Firefly Funhouse, and
right,
that was it. It went
yeah,
dark. Never
yeah,
heard anything from him. And if you remember, just before his release, probably maybe a couple days before that day, before Saturday, when he was released, that he released a picture on Instagram or somebody did, and he was in like really good looking
yeah,
shape. I mean,
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
definitely lost some serious weight.
Yeah,
So
it was circling around about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, he's been off TV for a while. So I guess if you want to compare, from his release to Strowman's and Black's, Aleister Black was on TV. They had just started a feud, for him, starting an angle. Not to go too far back, but even though Wyatt hasn't really been on TV since WrestleMania, you know, it feels like even if they got rid of the Fiend character from it, Bray Wyatt is so out there on what he can do. I mean, of course we've seen many different things he did, but I'm just really surprised. I think the Fiend character was awesome. I mean, I know we both we enjoyed it. It was fun to see what they did. Now I know over COVID time, they did a lot of silly stuff that they couldn't have done with a crowd, and I think that was probably part of the creativity problems they were having. But if you think about it, when Fiend first showed up, there was fans and he was doing stuff, but it really is a big shock though that as big as he was over with the crowd, that now he's gone. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I just when I read the story, I sent you a message on
yeah,
Instagram, on Snapchat, and I'm like, dude, they released Bray
yeah.
Wyatt.
I was up in Indianapolis and I'm getting like 3 or 4 messages from like 4 different people like Bray Wyatt's been released, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm right there, yeah. So
It happened at the very end of July, to the very last day of July.
yeah, like I said, I'm sure everybody keeps up, the ones that do, but there was rumors that he possibly was going to be released eventually or recently whenever Braun Strowman all them were released. I don't know how much truth is into that, but it is one of the rumors out there. Um, but yeah, like I said, I guess we're just going to have to sit and wait and see what happens.
Right.
And then go from there. So
Yeah. So since we're on potential releases and contracts and stuff, we'll go ahead and if you want to, we'll go ahead and stay in that direction, of
yeah,
course.
that's fine. I know there's been a
Um,
couple more going on. So
let's talk about Legend real quick. If I'm sure most people now that you guys are listening here on our podcast on Spotify or watching our video when this comes out on YouTube channel, Ric Flair is now no longer with WWE anymore.
Yeah.
Original reports were that he had asked to be released from WWE and that Vince McMahon granted him that permission. But now they're saying that that's not right, Jason. They're saying that he was having issues as far as booking his daughter on Raw.
Yeah, and I'm sure I think it probably stems back to the whole angle that they had with Ric Flair and supposedly thinking that he might have been the pregnant father or whatever. But it's weird. I mean,
You're talking about Lacey Evans.
Yeah, yeah. Couldn't think of her name. Sorry. But even if it really is over creative issues with his daughter, it's like, I mean, Charlotte came out time and time again saying that she's not doing, not going in behind her father's shadow. You know what I'm saying? She's doing her own thing. So that kind of shocks me if it does come out that that's true. Like I said, I do feel like it probably does stem to that whole, the whole angle with Lacey Evans and all them, because that was kind of weird to see, even in this day and age. I mean, the attitude era, we expected it all the time, but now, But anyways, yeah. But how Ric Flair is, he comes and goes. He went to TNA for a while there. He'll probably be back eventually. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he is. It's not like he's an active wrestler.
Right, his contract was a Legends contract.
Right. There has been some speculation that will he go to AEW because with Arn Anderson and yes, the Four Horsemen. If he does go there, that'll be 3 of them. But I can see them doing some kind of cameo with it. So.
Right.
But
yeah, that was an interesting deal, and also too, for all the people that watch NXT, I know I try to keep up with NXT more than Jason does.
Yep.
It's just kind of our thing. We kind of split this up a little bit, trying to keep up with everything. But Adam Cole, and for those of you who don't know who Adam Cole is on NXT, he was on the main roster in 2019. And it just didn't pan out very well, I guess, on the main roster. He went back to NXT. Well, anyways, he's set to become a free agent after SummerSlam. Now, here just recently, they're saying that as of today, matter of fact, there's been several offers from WWE for a contract, and yet he has not signed anything with them. Matter of fact, according to Frightful Select reporting with them, they're saying that he didn't even know nothing about it. Like their management had no clue that this guy's contract was coming up. They thought it was like 2022 or something.
Yeah, I thought they read it somewhere. They thought it was at least another 6 months away or something before that it was going to happen. But like you said, I'm not really a big fan of NXT. Not that it's not not a fan. I just never really have gotten into it. I hear a lot of praise about it, and I know Adam Cole is a big name there. But as we've talked before, you said that he is dating Britt Baker and she's in AEW.
She's the current champion.
Yes,
so
What does that play effect in it? I mean, it's hard to tell. Speaking of like people going to AEW though, I know we've talked about it quite a bit. In a sense, it is good to see some of these wrestlers that are getting released to go to AEW. And then, as we'll talk here in a little bit, there's a couple big names that are going, supposedly signed with AEW already that might be showing up in the next month or so. But your opinion, how do you feel? Do you think the roster's getting way too stacked? Do you feel like in the long run with if all these WWE guys start going there and coming in, is it going to overshadow the guys that were already on the roster for AEW that were not named before, AEW came onto the picture? They were in the independent scene, but, as for being on TV, like, Sammy Guevara or whatever, just a bunch of them guys there. Like, do you think that these names are going to come in and overshadow them?
Well, excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. The thing about it is with AEW now, a lot of people have started to talk about the AEW is just signing everybody that gets released from WWE.
Right.
Um, and if you really look at the fact, I mean, who have they really signed from WWE that's been released? I mean, other than, you can't count Jericho because he was gone way before any of
Right. Right.
this.
Right.
Cody Rhodes was gone. Those guys, you can't really count those guys. But if you look at like Andrade, if you look at Aleister Black, now he's now called Malachi Black there.
Yeah.
Those are two of the guys that have been released or let go from WWE that's went to AEW. The Paul White, he went there for commentary and stuff. I mean, he's not even wrestling.
Yeah.
So
Mark Henry
that was right. That was for two legends on a legends contract with WWE. So far, they haven't wrestled anything. Matter of fact, they just said that Mark Henry's going to be part of the announce team for Rampage when that debuts this upcoming next Friday, a week from today. But
I mean, I guess the only really person I guess you could say that that's doing halfway decent was Miro.
I forgot about Miro.
He's the champion, so
right. I forgot about Miro and then Christian Cage. Being there. But I mean, again, Christian Cage was on. I don't know if you would say a Legends contract with them. I don't know what contract he was with WWE at the time.
Right.
But I mean, I agree. If they keep signing some of these bigger stars that WWE has released, it could overshadow some of these guys. But the way AEW is handling everything with like the matches and getting time, I mean, for a 2-hour show, I mean, they really pack a lot in a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why they're doing Rampage, to get extra time. They essentially gives them 3 hours a week on TV. But if the AEW handles their business like they're handling it now, I don't think it would be an issue. But if they keep stacking the deck with more and more big names, it could be an issue down the road, I think.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: going into pay-per-view, so you say they pack a lot of matches into their their regular shows. Going into these pay-per-views, for instance, a WWE pay-per-view, they have about 6-7 matches.
Yeah, it depends.
Would you rather see 6 to 7 matches for the length that they do? Of course, their bigger matches last longer. Or would you rather see 10 or 11 matches but shorter time limits?
Well, I guess it just depends on the match. I mean, I think the thing for me is if you're having title matches, like for say, like championship matches, for instance, heavyweight belts,
right?
Big name titles and stuff. Those to me need a long. If you're going to be good, they need a longer time frame.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you're not gonna, if you want to rush matches, like to me, if you're having this like one-on-one matches with guys, there's no titles involved. Those can be shorter to me.
Right.
But if you're gonna have big name guys with big name matches, they need to be longer. So to answer your question, like WWE, with some of their matches, they tend to have filler matches brought in their pay-per-view sometimes.
Right.
And AEW, the thing about them is their pay-per-view seems to be forever long.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, if you're going to stack the card and have 11 matches, they better be good matches if you're going to stack the card like that.
Yeah, no, I say, I mean, if you put 11 matches on a 3-hour show, just say, of course your bigger matches are going to be longer, but is it really worth, a month build up to a 7 to 10 minute match? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but like I said, the more people you have on the roster that you're putting on TV, you have to give them that time. But I agree. I think AEW is, they're working it out. So I think it's going to be interesting. As for them having that new show on Friday, I mean, we can sit here all day and say that they should why not just make another show and make it 2 hours long as well. But, you can't, it's one thing to build, but you don't want to build too fast. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I agree.
So,
plus they've got, the Rampage and Dynamite's going to be their two big like
Right.
televised shows. Now they have other shows, like they have AEW Dark, which is on Monday nights on their YouTube channel.
Right. Right.
And I think a lot of those are like some of the undercard, more of the undercard guys, not the mid cards, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, man. I mean, it's we'll see what happens. We'll see how they do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's a bad style the way they're doing, but it doesn't see how it keeps going if they do start stacking big names on the roster and stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, while we're on AEW, should we go ahead and just talk about two of the big names that are supposedly be coming?
Yeah, we go ahead and talk about that because I also want to get into this past Wednesday night with the main event of the night. So yeah, we go ahead and go with the two big names. So apparently, from what I understand, from what we've read online and everything else, that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan have signed contracts with AEW. Now, exactly the details of those contracts have really not been.
They've been very well hidden.
Per se, yeah, they've been very well hidden. Haven't really been a whole lot said. Now, speculation has it. Again, it's speculation, and I heard this off of a Frightful Select podcast, wrestling podcast. Speculation they were given or saying was that CM Punk's debut could be on August the 20th, which is a Friday night, which would be the second show of Rampage. The first one is this Friday, coming up a week from this podcast today. Is going to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The next one after that is going to be in Chicago at the United Center, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what they said. So they're saying that CM Punk could debut that night.
Yeah, a lot of the fans are very anticipated because I've heard it's sold out now from what I think I last heard. Yeah, because 15,000 seats or something. So,
yeah.
But like I said, I got two other shows within the next month and a half that's in Chicago too. So it's kind of like, they're leaving it open to where will he really, I'm the kind of person I'd rather, if they are going to make him return, which for one, I wish they really, really wish they would have kept it a secret. I mean, I know it's hard in this day and age, and, even though it's hard for us to stay offline and not read stuff, if we didn't get online, then we wouldn't know this. But,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I wish they would really keep it tight lip and just have him show up. But I'm the kind of person that if he is going to show up, I'd rather see him show up at the pay-per-view, come out and do something. You know what I'm saying? Surprise everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Make make noise what he does, So.
Oh, dude, whenever he shows up now, if they do the pay-per-view, that's going to be All Out.
Yeah.
Which will be, I'm not sure the exact date of All Out for the pay-per-view, but
I'll look it up real quick.
Regardless of, I mean, his hometown Chicago, man. I mean, he shows up, the crowd, that building's the roof's gonna blow off, whatever they're
absolutely.
at. It's been what, 7-8 years since we've seen CM Punk in a ring.
Yep.
I mean, dude, he's, people say that they think that his name's kind of gone down due to his MMA losses that he took, but to me, what's that got to do with anything? The guy went. And went and trained and tried to fight in a real deal fight, and got his butt kicked. Well, it happens, but you know what? It didn't hurt his name, I don't think, guys. I really think that CM Punk returning to wrestling is going to be huge.
Oh, absolutely. So it's September 5th, 6:30 p.m. at the Now Arena.
Okay, yeah. So that it could be September 5th. I have heard that they're saying that Daniel Bryan could debut September the 22nd, and I believe that's it's a Dynamite, so it might be a Wednesday night. It's at the Barclays Center in New York, and that they said could be Daniel Bryan's debut. Again, Daniel Bryan's stuff has been way more quieter than CM Punk as far as debuting and everything else. Now. Back to your thing when you said you wish they kept it quiet. I think, regardless of, even though people know that he's signed, the details aren't there.
No.
So you don't know when he's going to show up. So the anticipation's there. I mean, just let's look at this real quick. We'll kind of compare apples to oranges or apples to apples, whatever. Becky Lynch has been teasing WWE fans with a comeback, especially at Money in the Bank.
Correct.
I mean, they were cheering for her Money in the Bank, and yet nothing happened. She didn't show
No.
up, right?
No.
So we know she's coming back, but it's just a matter of when she's going to come back.
Yeah.
Same way with CM Punk. People know now that he's coming back. Well, the ones that read the stuff like we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, like kids and stuff like that are into this don't, they probably don't read this.
Right.
But whenever he comes back, dude, it's going to be a huge pop. It's going to be a big time explosion. Excuse me.
No,
so,
you're good.
And I do believe that his music, they said they are going to be able to use his music, man.
Yeah, because it's an actual rock song. So,
right.
Because WWE wouldn't have the rights to that. But yeah, like I said, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, big talks going there. I think, we're especially excited for CM Punk. Daniel Bryan, I've never really been a huge fan of him, but I know he is a very big crowd favorite. I could see both of them probably having limited roles, though, probably for a while. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
I don't think that. I don't think neither one of these guys are going to be wrestling full time.
Right. I don't know. I can maybe.
Punk could.
CM Punk, I would see more than Daniel Bryan right now.
Right. I think Daniel Bryan's going to want to do more with. Excuse me. Probably with, New Japan wrestling.
Right.
That's always been a thing for him. Was wanting to do stuff in New Japan. So
this
would be a way to do that for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead. You were talking about what happened on Wednesday night with.
So Dynamite.
The main event.
Dynamite. So last night, or not last night. I'm sorry. Wednesday night on the Dynamite main event was Malachi Black. Now, sorry, Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes. And if you know that the last two Dynamites before that, the first Dynamite that Malachi Black appeared, it started a thing with him and Cody Rhodes, and the next Dynamite, and then we have a match. Honestly, I'm surprised that they did a match between those two on Dynamite.
And didn't build it up to a big
right.
match.
I would have thought that they would have done like a pay-per-view, like All Out or something like that. But so anyways, excuse me. Get a little. Anyway, so what I'm thinking here, so I watched the match. Of course, Malachi's entrance was pretty cool. Definitely different than WWE for sure. But his entrance was pretty cool. I liked it. So
right.
The match starts out kind of in Malachi's favor. I mean, he's really taking it to Cody Rhodes, but it's more like ninjutsu style kicks. Like he's kicking him in the knee, the thigh, just doing a lot of leg work to him. And then Cody Rhodes kind of gets into it. And he, eventually at some point he goes to the table out there, which was pretty cool. I mean, the match itself wasn't too bad, but what was interesting about the whole main event, the main event was probably, I don't know, maybe 6-7 minutes tops.
Yeah.
But then after the match, Tony Schiavone goes down the ring, talks to Cody, and Cody's telling everybody about how grateful he is for all that he's been able to accomplish and everything else. And it appeared that he was taking his boots off to lay in the ring because that's a symbol of leaving your boots in the ring. You're done. You're retiring out. It looked like it was going to go that way, but then Malachi Black comes back out and attacks Cody Rhodes, and that's how Dynamite goes off the air. So I'm thinking that they're not going to leave it there. It's more towards the storyline. I don't think Cody's done yet.
No, I agree.
I think that's going to lead up to a pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know. Unless really Cody is wanting to, get out of it, but I feel like it's too soon. I mean, unless, like I said, maybe there really is some issues like he's having, behind the scenes with medical issues that, that it could be getting worse and they could build it up to the pay-per-view where, it maybe does make it an actual retirement match.
Right.
That if he loses or something that he's done. But if it is just all a hoax and they're not really going that route, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to let it play out. But it seems kind of like a weird angle that that's the kind of storyline they want to go with, I guess.
Well, it could be too because maybe he just had this child not too long ago.
Right. It could.
So maybe he wants to take time off and go.
Yeah.
Spend time with her. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll just have to see. So.
All right. Well, let's see here now. All right. One more thing to say about AEW, and then we're going to try to get out of AEW.
That's fine.
For those of you that remember, and it's just a little thing that I've seen. It was nothing real fancy. But Ruby Riott, now called Ruby Soho, as that's what she's calling herself now, is supposedly heading to AEW.
Yeah, that was another rumored name. They showed a picture of her with like a new look. The only thing that looked different to me was her hair color. Was that that only? Okay, I just want to make sure that's what. Like, I didn't look too hard into it, but the picture they showed, that's the only I could really tell the difference. So, I mean, of course, her name different, but other than that,
right. And that's really about it. There on the was her going to AEW again. Right. Another superstar going to AEW from wrestling, but
yeah,
she's going in the women's division. And I really think that the women's division now, they could really use some more sign talent.
Yeah.
So, it'd be a good sign. I think a good fit for her if she goes to AEW. Hopefully that if that's the case, that she'll do well there.
Right.
So we'll find out. But all right, let's head back to WWE land for a minute.
Okay.
And let's talk about
what's going on for SummerSlam, the biggest pay-per-view of the summer.
We are 2 weeks away from that now?
I think it's so. 2 weeks from this Sunday, I believe. So
21st.
Yeah. A lot of big things going around it. As of on Smackdown, they went ahead and signed the contract with Roman Reigns and John Cena, which they did it a weird way. With Cena still in the contract. But like I said, we all figured out that match was happening anyways. But I think that'll be a very good match. I am looking forward to that one to the most. And then on the Raw side, we got Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley accepted his challenge. We known that was pretty much going to happen. I asked you before what you thought. Squash match, or do you think it actually might be a little back and forth?
After this past Raw, Goldberg came out, and Lashley was out there to start. Goldberg comes out, does this whole thing about champ, and you're next, and I'm gonna do all this stuff.
Right.
And Lashley don't really say anything. Don't really do a whole lot.
Right.
But then MVP starts heckling his son after Goldberg had already, walked out of the ring and everything.
Yeah.
And then he got speared for his troubles and everything else. Honestly, I hate to say this, and a lot of people probably won't agree with me on this, but oh well. This match is going to be it's not going to be a good match. Squash match, whatever you want to call it. It's just not going to be good. Goldberg's too much mouth, running them giblets, and the champion's not doing nothing about it. Doing anything about it at all.
Yeah.
Lashley just standing there getting mad. It's just not going to work for me.
Yeah. I think they're really doing this match for Bobby Lashley to get him over. But one little thing that we talked about with Goldberg is that, he signed on for 2 matches a year on his contract, and he lost his last match. Are they going to do that? Would it hurt Goldberg's credibility losing this match too? But there is speculation that Big E's coming to Raw, and that he's coming, to use the Money in the Bank for the title shot. Could they go the route with Goldberg winning and then Big E cashing in on Goldberg? If Big E cashes in that night, does he get a bigger push cashing in on Goldberg, or does he get a bigger push cashing in on Bobby Lashley?
Who, Big E?
Yes.
I think he gets a bigger push cashing in on Lashley.
You think so?
Yeah, because what's cashing in on Goldberg going to do for you? Goldberg got beat by Drew McIntyre at Royal Rumble.
Right.
And you know what? What's that going to do for him? You know, it's kind of like Lashley. Lashley wins over Goldberg. It's going to put Lashley over.
Oh
Okay?
yeah, exactly.
You can't be. You're not going to put Lashley over by having him lose.
No.
I mean, that's not going to work. So I look for Lashley to crush Goldberg, honestly, and then if Big E is coming to Raw with that Money in the Bank, that's going to set up a potential, run. Now, could WWE make things interesting and say that Lashley wins, and then all of a sudden Big E comes down and cashes in on Lashley, win the belt? It could happen, right? Or they wait.
If that's the main event of SummerSlam, that's what's going to happen. I don't see them not giving Big E that big pop at the end of the night to end the show. You know what I'm saying?
I honestly don't see that being the main event. I see
Cena
and Reigns,
and I do too. I believe that will headline it. But then it's like, because WWE is always real keen about sending home the fans happy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, does Roman Reigns beat Cena clean? I mean, that's not going to send everybody happy because they are booing Roman Reigns. But does he win clean? And does that help? Of course, it's going to help his credibility. We've always talked about how he needs to win clean more, anyways. But I don't know. Like, I just wonder what could really be. Are they going to? It's funny enough, we don't feel like there's going to be a surprise at the end of SummerSlam. Like, the last pay-per-views, like Money in the Bank, we seriously thought there was going to be a big surprise, which it was. Cena came out and returned. But if Roman Reigns and Cena is the main event, what are we expecting at the end of the night? It's going to have to, or we're not. It's weird because this is probably one of the few times that we don't expect anything major to happen in that match because, only thing that maybe could I don't know. I don't see Cena winning. I feel like, because I don't see them giving him the belt because, like I said, it's going off to make the movie, but bigger things have happened before. But do they mess it up by having the Usos come out? You know what I'm saying?
I think so. To me, this match has got to be clean.
I agree.
To put Reigns over the top, like to really elevate Reigns more, they've got to let him win clean. Now, I'm with you. I don't see Cena winning this match just because he only has one more night after SummerSlam.
Yeah, one more episode.
One more episode, which would be on Smackdown, I guess. That's what he's on. I only guess. I'm not for sure.
Could they go a route of, and I don't see this happening, but could they really go the route of Cena winning that night? And then he's at the next SmackDown or next Raw? Is his last night? Is it SmackDown? I
believe it's SmackDown.
Okay. So if they went that route and he wins, does he come out on SmackDown and be like, blah, 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 whatever, and then just relinquishes the title? And then set up a new kind of angle going into SmackDown now that there's no champion and they can, I probably don't see that happening, but, could they do something? Or could Reigns ask for his rematch at night and win it back?
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he could ask for his rematch. Cena gives it to him, and then something happens to Cena, and he loses the belt, costing him the match. I could see that route going that way.
I mean, because we keep sitting here thinking that. Before they won the tag titles, we figured one of the Usos was probably going to turn good. Just the way they keep going, because you can tell they put little rifts in there. But now that they're champions, I don't know. I mean, because supposedly, from what's being said is they're building something up major, which we're thinking is probably going to involve something with The Rock going into Survivor Series, to keep the whole Uso family. So I don't see that happening, but I can see it happening at SummerSlam that the Usos come out. Cena's going to probably do his finisher to both of them, and then does he turn around and get speared by Reigns and and that in the match. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that match. I think it's going to be good.
I agree with you there. Also, too, let me ask you this question. This happened too on SmackDown this past Friday. If you're listening to this podcast, guys, we're doing this on the Friday of the 6th of August. So the SmackDown, we're talking about last Friday here.
Yeah, yeah,
But what do you think about Sasha Banks returning? She came back last Friday night um, to to Bianca Belair's help. She was getting beat
yeah.
up.
That attack match and everything.
Um, and then at the end of the night, of course, she turned on her. She beat the snot out of her. I want to ask you this question. Do you think they had no choice but to bring her back now before SummerSlam? Because originally, from what I understood, and just reading just different reports, like through Blucher reports, Sportskeeda, and stuff like that,
Right.
she wasn't supposed to return to like SummerSlam, and then all of a sudden they brought her back. What do you think? Did you think they had no choice because of Bailey being hurt? That they had no choice? They had to do something.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. Like the women's side of it over there, I feel like hasn't been all that exciting since WrestleMania. It's kind of funny because you look at Raw, the Raw women's side's going pretty good, but the men's side's like is trash kind of. SmackDown, it's the opposite. The men's side title, is great, but the women's has just kind of been mediocre with where they've been going. Everything. Um, I don't know. I mean, I like Sasha Banks. I think a lot of people do. I think she plays better as a heel. I think it'll be a good match. I haven't really read a whole lot on Belair on how they feel about her, but I could see them keeping the title on her for a while. Because if Banks wins, you know they can't go another route with her and Bailey. You know what I'm saying? They done been down that road. So when
right, Bailey's out anyway. So
well, I know. I'm just saying, but I'm saying if she comes back, because most of the time, right around this time of the year is we got the draft coming up, but SummerSlam will usually see a title change, and most people will keep that title going maybe into Royal Rumble, and then the Rumble, and then the title changes sometimes at Rumble, and then it leads up to WrestleMania. Because with the draft coming up, it's hard to say what's going to happen, but I mean I don't know. I think it's a good match for them, but I don't know. I think Belair will come out on top on that one, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I agree from there. I just didn't know if you thought that they had no choice but to bring Sasha back now to give them somebody to fight her for a match at SummerSlam, because Bailey was going to be what it appeared, but Bailey was going to be the person that she was going to end up fighting.
Right.
At SummerSlam, but then Bailey got hurt, and then who else do you have? You have Carmella, who she already beat already, and then you've got what is it, Savia Vega or Selena Vega? Sorry, Selena Vega. I mean, you can't really do much of her, so then they bring Sasha back because they got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have easily went a route like a four-way women's match. You know what I'm saying? And just put Carmella in there, and then a couple others just to fill it in, because most of the time when you have a four-way match, you can usually tell two of them is going to most likely win. The other two is probably most likely not. But yeah, I mean, it is,
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, it was just an interesting thing that she came back like she did. A lot of people weren't expecting her to.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't announce it early on. Usually they're all like, "Oh, somebody's returning," because they like to spoil that. So.
Right. That's why I said I don't think she was really a planned thing. I think they probably called her after Bailey got hurt. It was like, listen, we got to do something. We need you to come back.
Yeah, because they're trying to stack the card with big names too. So that's probably one of the big reasons. But
so speaking of women, since we're in the women's division, anyways, let's head over to Raw for a second. Let me ask you, how with the Raw, it appeers that SummerSlam. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it is the official match now. Raw Women's Champion Nikki ASH is going to be defending that title against Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Let me ask you now, the last two Raws have been women's main event matches. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not against it. I'm not bashing their division or nothing like that. I'm not against it whatsoever. It just seems like they're really pushing the women's division now on Raw, which is a good thing if especially for the women fans that are out there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Um, but it just seems like I hope that SummerSlam we squash this whole Rhea and Charlotte and Nikki feud.
Yeah.
Like I hope we squash it and it goes on because quite honestly, like I'm getting tired of every Monday night having Charlotte. The last 2 nights, Charlotte's had to fight the champion. Okay,
Right.
first time she won, second time she lost, and then Rhea's having to fight just oddball opponents.
Yeah.
Like
I think the biggest reason they're probably pressing
so,
it so
I
hard.
want to get your thoughts on that for just a second.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason they're pressing so hard on it is because even something that we've read before and we thought about, but with Nikki Ash, a lot of people are like superhero gimmicks kind of silly. I think partially they're trying to do it to show that she can compete and put on interesting matches. That showing why they put the title on her and not just because it was new and gimmicky. But she looks good out there. I mean, I think she plays that character well. You know, are they pushing? Because I mean, your shows mostly always compare or advertise your champions. So are they feeling like the Goldberg Bobby Lashley match not that big of a deal to them compared to the women's triple threat? You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's a bigger deal
Right.
to them. Like, to go back on the Bobby Lashley and Goldberg match, I know we're in the minority, me and you are, because we grew up watching wrestling. Not that we don't like Goldberg, because Goldberg had a hell of a career. It's just the way the way he does his matches, and I think his biggest downfall, and I get it, we're all even in our own personal jobs, we're here to make money. I get that, but it's been said time and time again, Goldberg's there just to collect a check. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a lot of reason why his matches are short. I think he's still capable of doing that stuff, but it just I don't know. I don't like the short matches, especially when it is for a title shot like that. And then they've made them interesting before, like on some situations, but uh, I just feel like their majority crowd is more behind that triple threat match than they probably are the Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. And I just think maybe that's why they're pushing it more. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know.
I mean, to me, it feels like a filler match. I hate to say that, but it feels like a filler match that they had to fill somebody in because I feel like because they didn't get Brock Lesnar to do anything, to sign anything or do anything with them, that they had to do something and they used Goldberg.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I could, and that's just my opinion. I just believe that they didn't have nothing for Lashley. They wanted Lesnar and they couldn't get it.
That's what I don't know. But like I was saying about it, is that they were, the majority, or we're in the minority when it comes to like how we feel about Goldberg, but that statistically it's showing that people like Goldberg. You know what I'm saying? Like the fans get excited when they see him. When we watch him, we really don't because we know what we've used to in the past and what we get now. But overall, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, what's kind of weird because it tells you like how insane the crowd is now these days. But when Bobby Lashley comes out, I hear a lot of people cheering for him now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with like when we went, and I know it's different from city to city, but when we went to the live wrestling event, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Nikki Cross were all getting chanted. Like everybody was loving all three of them. There was like hardly no boos for any of them. You know what I'm saying? Right. And maybe that's why they're pushing them so much because they are getting such hype from the crowd for all three of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know how we feel like how Charlotte seems like she gets pushed a lot, but I honestly feel like it has been interesting with the three. But that's just my opinion on that.
Oh, I agree with that. Speaking of the crowd being, crazy. Everybody's excited because they're back live.
Yep.
So they were in Chicago at the United Center, right?
Yep.
And I swear I had to listen to it. I wound the tape 3 times to make sure I wasn't hearing things wrong. The crowd, the crowd was chanting CM Punk
Oh yeah.
on Raw.
Yep.
I thought that was great. I know that nobody probably really caught it unless you really listened to the crowd. It sounded like they were trying to muffle them. If you paid attention, like they were trying to kill the audio. But yeah, they were chanting CM Punk on Raw, so I thought that was pretty funny. Speaking of, since we're on Raw, let's just kind of stay there for a second. It looks like Sheamus is going to defend that United States Championship finally against Damian Priest.
Yep.
So, Sheamus hasn't really done much with that title since he's had it.
Yeah.
I know he had the broken nose and everything, and I get that. It put him out of action, and he got the face piece. But do you see Damian Priest beating Sheamus at SummerSlam if this match comes about?
Yes. I think there's, I think they're wanting to. I mean, since WrestleMania, Damian Priest hasn't had that big of a push, but I think they've been coasting along just to get through for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Since the fans are now back in live or whatever, but I think just the way it's going, I think Priest is probably going to win. I think that'll give him the push. Plus, it'll build up another match between them for the next pay-per-view, probably. You know what I'm saying? And that'll just, that'll give a feud a couple months worth of, time frame, and then, and then go from there, because after the next pay-per-view, they'll be going into the, the draft, and maybe one of them gets switched over to SmackDown. So.
Right. Speaking of different matches and stuff like that, what do you think about the Corbin character now, with him being broke, whatever? And this past Friday night, you saw him ask Cena, and Cena told him no, and give him an AA for his troubles.
Right.
But then he comes out and attacks Finn Balor at the table, which caused Cena, like you said earlier, to sign the contract.
Right.
Do you see them going in a feud with those two guys? I mean, I could really care less about Baron Corbin, honestly, but
yeah,
what do you think?
I honestly haven't really followed his whole storyline too much. I've read a little bit online and what they've shown on TV, but like I said, I'll be honest, I haven't put a whole lot of effort into it. I know they're kind of high on Corbin. I as well have never really been a big fan of his, but I don't know. Is it a gimmicky thing they're going to just do for a little bit? I mean,
it could be just something to give Balor something to do. Since they've had him on the main card, he's fought Sami Zayn and beat him, and then now it looks like it's going to be facing Corbin.
Yeah,
potentially.
I just wonder if because to going back on Balor, because they were trying to push it to look like Balor would possibly be in the main event at SummerSlam, which I still think they're trying to go that route, because I think Balor just put something online that he still wants to be in that title match.
That could make things interesting.
It could. That could be a way to for Reigns to win at SummerSlam. You know what I'm saying? Because then that wouldn't. Because if he pins, Balor, then it wouldn't look too bad on John Cena. But I don't think they're too worried about, having Cena lose or not. But I hope they don't. I like Balor. I think he's cool as hell. But I hope they stick it to it just where it's at right now with the one-on-one, because that's how it should be. But could they be putting him in the picture right now just to see how the fans react and how the universe reacts? Because if they feel like they are behind him and the fans want it to happen, could that be the next feud after SummerSlam? You know what I'm saying, for Roman Reigns?
It could be. I mean, Reigns accepted his challenge right off the bat.
Right.
And told him that he would send his ass back to NXT. So.
Right. I think that'd be pretty cool though. But I wouldn't want to see the triple threat. Not with them. I think Cena. I mean, we've seen Cena and Reigns before in the past, yeah, but Reigns, being where he's at superior wise now, I think it's perfect for this. So
Right. Um, let's take real quick here. For everybody that's listening, give us a follow on Spotify.
yep.
Also, if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, please give us a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with us, guys. Let us people know that we're out there. Our Facebook's up and running. It's Two Dudes with Attitudes Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. Find us on there. So I try to do stuff like that. Just a shameless plugs there to put us in out there.
Yeah, no. Like I said, we've been slow a little bit on the social media side of it, but we're gonna start adding more stuff and pushing it more out there. But definitely, like I said,
I'm gonna try to maybe do like a review of like AEW like the following day or something.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do some smaller reviews. We're gonna have the weekly show of this one, but then we're gonna do like some shorter videos, and they won't be it won't be the same concept of this. I mean, we'll be talking about it, but it's mainly just gonna be over one specific card,
Right.
the whatever. But and as time goes on, like I said, we got a couple ideas that we want to do. I know we ain't talked too much yet about it, but I'd really like to do something fun, exciting for leading up to SummerSlam. We'll talk more about that as time gets closer. But yeah, like I said, like, subscribe, comment, share, get our name out there.
Yes.
We're just starting. We're having fun, something to do, enjoy it. So we'll see how it goes.
Since we're on the verge of SummerSlam, now as you know, I don't know if most of you know now, if you're going to the show, you got to wear a mask.
Yeah,
it's mask mandate now, Ticketmaster. But what I find interesting is, and I didn't talk to you about this earlier, okay? So they're going to have fan access at SummerSlam.
Really?
I did hear about this. This came from Brandon Hodge, the guy that I follow on YouTube.
Okay.
He was talking about it, and it's $250 to meet. I think it was like Drew McIntyre and all. Drew McIntyre, a couple other big names. I don't remember all the names exactly. Okay.
Okay.
But here's the thing, man. All right, this doesn't make any sense. I want you to chime in on this. You cannot touch them. You cannot hug them. You cannot do nothing. They're going to be 6 feet from you.
Really?
All right. Yeah. And I guess you get to talk to them 6 feet away. I don't know. They will not sign anything personal. So no belts, no nothing. They have pre-signed pictures.
Yeah.
And that's what you get, pal. $250 to talk to them, but 6 feet away.
But does the $250 include every wrestler, or is it $250 per wrestler?
I think it's every wrestler.
I mean, I guess it depends on how many how you can get. Like, I can understand the no touching and no like hugs.
Right,
That's totally understanding.
But then I guess the question is, why do you allow the wrestlers to go in the crowd? Because you've seen Nikki Cross get in the crowd a couple times.
Oh yeah, and I was going to say it when we went to the live event, they were of course all the good guys, the bad guys don't do anything.
I mean, they were on the outside of the ring. But
yeah, and they were clapping, but they were clapping hands and stuff. So
right. I mean, I get that maybe because they might clap one or two people here or something like that, and not however many thousands of people sign up for that thing.
Right.
But you can also do the virtual one too, so and it's still $150.
I'll tell you right now, I don't understand those virtual ones. I just on Facebook today, Bret Hart's getting ready to do one, and I mean I get it. If you can get on live and you can watch, when you pay for the autograph, and then you're going to watch the video and you're going to see Bret Hart signing it, and he's putting your name and stuff, and I'm like, that he's signing it. And I guess maybe it's one of those where you might not ever get the opportunity, so it's like it might be worth it to you. But
I mean, for 2 minutes though, 2 minutes for $150, and you're on a computer.
Oh well, you're talking about the personal one though. Yeah, the one I'm talking about with Bret Hart that they've done before is a company will not really a company, but like a little group of people that run an autograph session. They'll get with Bret Hart, and he'll be at a table. And as people can like send in like a payment through PayPal or whatever, and they'll be like, you know, John from Indiana, you know, he wants this picture signed or whatever, and you know, he wants it to, you know, to John from, you know, the best there is, whatever. And then
Okay.
Bret Hart will sign it right there in front of you, so you can see
How
it. You
much
know,
does that run?
it really depends. It probably depends on each of the wrestlers how much they want to charge for per picture. Like the one I've watched before, like Vicky Guerrero did one, you know, and I think she probably charged like $25-$30 a picture. You know what
That's
I'm
not
saying?
bad.
It's not bad at all, but like I said, it's not, you know, from me, from what I've had, you know, on my belt signed in person, it's not the same. But like I said, if you know you ain't ever gonna have a chance to, you know, to meet somebody, you know, it still
Oh
might be
yeah, I
cool
agree.
because you're still gonna see them sign it right there, so you know they're personally signing it. But it's like when we went to the live event, you know, they were selling John Cena posters that you can buy that he had autographed before the show, and I'm sure the autographs were legit, but you weren't there to see it, and it's like, you know, he signed 250 of those. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he don't. I don't know. It's just that personal experience ain't the same.
Well, I agree with you because I got, you know, right over here to my left or whatever. I've got my world championship belt that I
Right.
had Kane and Booker T signed.
Right. Right.
You know, I got to meet those guys in person up in Indianapolis back in, what was that, May?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to see, you know, me and him went up to Squared Circle Expo and got to see them two guys, plus many other AEW
Yep.
stars
Yep.
and stuff. So that was really cool.
That was cool.
So anyway, so you know, talking about SummerSlam and stuff like that, you know, we've all heard those rumors, you know, that SummerSlam could potentially get canceled
Yeah.
due to this COVID stuff.
Right.
I don't see it. I know Jason said the same thing.
Yeah. I don't.
Excuse me. Neither one of us see that.
Right.
But it is WWE has,
No.
you know,
They have a backup plan. They said
backup
you know,
plan in place.
only thing, if they do a backup plan, please do not go to the Performance Center. I will not watch the pay per view if it goes to Performance Center.
I don't
That
think it's going to
WrestleMania at the Performance Center was the worst I have ever seen.
Well, as of right now, from what I understand, according to they've talked to the city,
Yeah.
you know, the city. I think everything's still good to go.
Right. Right.
They're just doing a contingency, but you know they are looking, and AEW, you know, also has a contingency plan, which of course we all know they're going to go back to Daly's place if something was to happen.
Probably.
Where you know, WWE is looking at like 6 different locations to like tour in. Like they would basically
just stay in
it wouldn't be like
areas.
it wouldn't be the Thunderdome.
Right. Right.
But it
they
would
just
be
like
where
they would go through like 6
like,
different locations and they would just
right.
rotate through those. Yeah.
Right. So it'd be different setting every night.
Right.
But yeah, you know, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it happening.
No.
But it's a possibility.
Yeah, it is out there.
Don't want to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely out there.
One thing too, and it's been a long time since we heard this name come up, and I honestly got something to say about this. Ronda Rousey decided to break her silence and tweet that it's the fans' fault for Bray Wyatt's release from WWE.
Yeah.
How in the hell is it the fans' fault that Bray Wyatt got released? I don't make any sense to me. She needs to go back to playing her damn video games. I mean, she's been off. I know she's pregnant and having a kid, and I get that.
Right.
Okay, that's her business. That's her personal thing. Fine and dandy. But you know what? How dare you assault the fans who have been a year and a half without wrestling in person? And you're going to say the fans are the reason for Bray Wyatt's release? No, ma'am. Ronda, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, because she was talking about how they, that, you know, when Bray Wyatt's not there, they chant for him, but then when Bray Wyatt has matches, they were chanting, like, other things, wanting other people. And I'm like...
Well, it's no different than Money in the Bank when they were chanting Becky Lynch.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just the fans are wild how they do stuff, so it's like...
Right, every fan's everywhere different.
Yeah.
I mean, Bray Wyatt's release had nothing to do with the fans. That man was making hand over fist for the company.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still doing it now, even though he's not there. Go on to the shop right now, and you can still buy all his merchandise, every bit of it.
I am curious about that. Like, and you know, and if anybody out there knows this answer, comment down below because I am curious. But so he's been released. So can he still make money off of that merchandise? Because they make sales off of it when they're in wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I wonder because I know it's in their contract, even though they're not going to work there no more. But I wonder if they still make money off of that after, or
I don't
maybe for so long, maybe until their no compete clause maybe goes.
probably because I would say 90 days because they have that 90-day no
Right, right,
compete
right.
and the company still pays them
Yeah,
90 days. So I
because
would
it's
think that after 90 days their stuff would be
I don't know.
still on there.
It's weird because like I mean like they always bring up like some every once in a while they'll bring a new Stone Cold shirt out and the Stone Cold make money off of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
So
sure he probably does. I don't know what his does he even have a contract still with
that's
them?
what I'm
Is he like
saying.
a
I don't know. I
because he
know he's.
hasn't
I
been on
mean,
WWE TV forever.
I mean he's got his Broken Skull TV show, and I'm sure he makes money off of that. But I don't know.
Right. I don't know.
So but that is kind of something interesting. One thing I wanted to bring up, like we said before, we talk about AEW, WWE mainly, but we're going to go off the charts here a little bit. We're going to talk about I guess it does bring in some AEW, but GCW, Nick Gage, Matt Cardona, man, what a crazy match that was. I know a lot of fans probably didn't really know who Nick Gage was outside of WWE. When we went to the show up in Indy, there was a young cat behind us that he was. Of course, this was after Nick Gage was came out on AEW and introduced, but he said he hadn't heard about Nick Gage before until they did the was it Dark Side of the Ring show or whatever,
Yeah.
which was an awesome episode. If anybody watched it, if you ain't watched it, go check it out. But I've actually known Nick Gage as a wrestler probably since about 2015. There's a local promotion called IWA. They do hardcore deathmatch tournaments every year. And back in 2015, went to one, whatever, and he was there. And that's the first time I met him. And, I mean, ever since, dude, I've been hooked on that dude forever. So to see him show up on AEW a couple weeks ago and then have the match with Jericho, that was pretty badass. But what him and Matt Cardona got going on, I think they're really killing it. I think it's awesome. I think a lot of people were shocked and upset that Cardona won, but I think it's good for the business. It's going to keep it going. A lot of people that watch wrestling and then you watch, I mean, because you never really got into deathmatch wrestling. You never really watched none of it. And then you started watching some of it after, the whole thing with Nick Gage, and I told you a little bit about it. So it's like, it is a different kind of sport. I mean, it is wrestling, yes, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's a lot different. And, there's been people, like Eric Bischoff, he talks about it, that it's horrible and makes wrestling bad. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot more extreme of how ECW was. If it wasn't for ECW, there wouldn't be no death match, how there is today. But I mean, as you can tell too, that AEW is incorporating a lot of that stuff, and they're getting, they bring that stuff back. You know what I'm saying? That stuff, not as hardcore like that they do in these deathmatch tournaments, but it is awesome. But
Oh yeah,
I'm glad
definitely.
I love it. I love seeing Nick Gage on AEW. He did look a little out of place, you know what I'm saying? But that's his first time on big TV like that. But I really hope they interconnect more like that. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Matt Cardona and Nick Gage. But I do have my Nick Gage shirt on here. When I went to the event in 2015, first time I met him, I'm like, this dude's badass. I gotta get a shirt. So I go up to him and I'm like, Nick, man, I'm like, can I buy one of your shirts? He's like, bro, I didn't bring any with me. He said, only one I got's one on my back. And I'm like, man, I'll buy that one. He said, $20, here you go. Took the shirt off and now it's mine. So I'm like, cool, so that's just a little input I liked on that. But yeah, it's I'm gonna be checking out that more on that, see how they go with it. So it'll be cool to see.
Yeah, I've been following I've been following Matt Cardona on Twitter. Ever since he's won that belt.
Yeah.
And he's taken the belt for an adventurous ride.
Yes, he's doing very interesting things with it. 'Cause I listen to his podcast and some of the stuff he talks about is wild. So,
they got that PBR commercial out now. Major
yes,
PBR
yeah,
is out, and it premiered on like AEW.
Yeah,
like on the not during the actual wrestling, but like as a commercial.
During the commercial. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool, little commercial. I did watch. You talked about deathmatch and everything. I haven't seen much. I never really watched deathmatch until you start telling me about it.
Right.
And I kind of brought up some YouTube videos and stuff like that. That's a whole different world. GCW fans, I had never seen GCW in my life until I watched that pay per view back in July 17th or 15th or something.
Right.
And wow,
Yeah.
those fans are crazy. Like the fans that you see like WWE and AEW, and they're stoked. These fans are way past that.
They are very, very committed. And I mean, I've been going to IWA shows for years, since I was a little kid. And I mean, it is a different atmosphere. It might be a hole in the wall barn that they're having this thing at, but dude, it is like amazing. I mean, great. I mean, it's just,
oh yeah,
like you would make it feel like there's probably 1,000 fans there, and there may only be 150. I mean, that's that's what's cool about it. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, a deathmatch wrestling now is not for kids. Okay, what I mean by kids, I mean like people under the age of like 16, probably 15 or older. I wouldn't go any younger than that. You know what I'm saying? Because deathmatch wrestling's bloody. It's very, very violent. If you're, what I'm saying, I'm not saying they can't watch it, but I'm not gonna let my like 10-year-old watch it.
I was like 12 when I went to my first one, so.
Yeah, but I mean, hell, man, look where we were at then, and that we didn't care about that stuff nowadays.
No, I know. But I will say though.
But now,
The one real cool thing about, and if anybody that follows that, or just IWA Mid South, back years ago, that's the first time I ever met CM Punk. CM Punk was there. He had like 3 tattoos on his arm, and like it was crazy. I'm like, who is this dude? I used to like get in his face and talk trash, and I'm like, man, this guy ain't nobody. And then it's like, look where he came and where he's at now. So it's like, that's the one cool thing. Out of all the wrestling I've ever been to, to have seen CM Punk in at an old beat up building in Charlestown, Indiana, with like 120, 25 fans. It was him, Colt Cabana. Everybody knows Colt Cabana because he's in AEW, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can't think of the other guy's name, but there's a guy that was in NXT for a while that came, that was in independent scenes too, whatever. But not to get too far in that. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to be able to like know that that's where they started at, and then where they've become. Even the same way Brock Lesnar. I was there when Brock Lesnar started in OVW. He had no tattoos on him or nothing. Him and Shelton Benjamin came to this little beat up building in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Probably making $50-$100 a night just because they were training, but. It's cool, you know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's got to start from somewhere, but to see where Brock Lesnar came, where he started and where he's at now, it's just like cool to be there and to experience that. So.
Oh, definitely, man, definitely. We've covered a lot today on this show.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking a little over an hour now. I feel like we can talk hours for everything that's going on.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, with the wrestling world, how it's been this last couple of weeks, it's always something new going on every day.
Oh, definitely, man. It's been off the rails here lately.
Yeah, it really has.
All right, man. Guys, again, if you're listening out there, share this, give us a like, follow us on Spotify for now. I saw, right now we're only on Spotify. We're trying to get potentially up to Apple Music and maybe even Amazon.
The good thing about Spotify is free.
Right now we're just on Spotify.
Right.
So, if you're watching, like I said, on our YouTube channel at Two Dudes with Attitudes Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, like this video, share, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook.
Tell your friends
follow
about
us on Facebook. There you go.
So
I like that.
All right, buddy. Well, next time, do this again.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Two Dudes with Attitude Wrestling Podcast. Once again, I'm Jason. That's
John.
We'll see you guys later. Enjoy.